My name is Renee Carter, and for 6 years I worked the front register at a grocery store on the corner of 9th and Main, the kind of place where the linoleum was always sticky and the manager counted every minute you spent in the bathroom. I was 34 years old, a single mother of two, and I had learned a long time ago that the world does not owe tired people anything. So when an elderly woman walked into my line on a Tuesday afternoon in November, gripping the edge of the conveyor belt like it was the only thing holding her upright, I did not think twice. I just saw a woman who needed help. She was maybe 75, dressed simply, her coat buttoned wrong, her eyes glassy and unfocused. She set down a loaf of bread and a carton of eggs, and when I greeted her, she did not answer. Her hand trembled on the belt. Her lips had gone the color of ash. I had seen my own grandmother look like that once, right before her sugar dropped so low she collapsed in her kitchen, and something in me went cold and clear all at once. I came around the register, caught her before her knees gave out, and eased her down onto the floor. I did not wait for permission from my manager. I did not check the store handbook. I yelled for someone to call 911, propped her head up, and stayed beside her, talking low and steady, telling her she was safe, telling her to hold on, while the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead and a small crowd of strangers gathered to watch a woman, none of them knew, fight to stay conscious on a dirty tile floor. The paramedic said later that if she had gone another 10 minutes without intervention, her heart might have stopped. It was a blood sugar crash, severe, the kind that sneaks up fast and takes people down without warning. I did not know her name that day. I did not know that the woman I had just held on to, the woman whose hand I had squeezed as the ambulance doors closed, was the mother of one of the most powerful men in the country, a man named Julian Ashford, whose companies touched everything from shipping ports to hospital networks. I did not know any of that. I only knew I had a shift to finish, a manager glaring at me for the scene I had caused, and two kids waiting for me to pick them up from daycare before it closed at 6. I want to tell you the next part slowly because it still makes something twist in my chest. 3 days later, I was called into the back office. I thought maybe they wanted to thank me. Maybe there had been some kind of recognition. A customer complaint turned into a customer commendation. Instead, my manager slid a termination form across the desk and told me I had violated store policy by leaving my register unattended without authorization, that I had caused a liability incident, that corporate had reviewed the security footage and made their decision. 6 years. 6 years of never missing a shift, of covering for coworkers, of smiling through customers who screamed at me over expired coupons. And it ended with a form and a cardboard box for my apron and my nameplate. I drove home that night and sat in my car outside my apartment for almost an hour before I could make myself go inside. I did not cry, not right away. I just felt this hollow, disbelieving quiet, the kind where your whole body understands something before your mind catches up. I had done the right thing. I had done the only thing a decent person could do, and it had cost me the ability to feed my own children. I want you to understand something about people like me, the ones who work the registers and clean the offices and drive the buses. We learn to expect very little from the world in return for what we give it. So when I filed for unemployment, when I started quietly applying to every store within a 20-mile radius, I did not think about the woman I had saved. I did not think about her at all. I was too busy trying to figure out how to explain to my daughter why we could not get the shoes she needed for gym class. It was almost 3 weeks later when a black car pulled up outside my building. I remember because my son pressed his face to the window and asked if we were in trouble. A woman in a tailored coat knocked on my door and introduced herself as an assistant to Julian Ashford. She said Mr. Ashford's mother had been asking for weeks about the cashier who saved her life, that she had remembered my name from my tag, that she had described me to her son in detail, insisting he find me. I stood in my doorway in secondhand sweatpants, humiliated and confused, certain this had to be some kind of mistake. It was not a mistake. 2 days later, I sat across from Julian Ashford himself in a conference room that probably cost more to furnish than I would earn in a decade. He did not open with pleasantries. He told me plainly that his mother had called him from her hospital bed to say a young woman had saved her life and lost everything for it, and that he needed to know if that was true. I told him everything, the register, the fall, the ambulance, the termination form waiting for me 3 days later like a punishment for compassion. I watched his jaw tighten as I spoke. He did not interrupt me once. What happened next is the part people find hard to believe, but I promise you it is true. Julian did not simply offer me a check, though God knows a check would have solved my immediate problems. He asked me what I wanted to do with my life, really wanted, if money were not the obstacle. I told him, almost laughing at the absurdity of saying it out loud, that I had once dreamed of becoming a nurse, that I had taken 2 semesters of community college classes before my ex-husband left, and I had to choose between rent and tuition. Julian did not blink. He said his foundation funded medical scholarships for people exactly like me, and that starting that semester, my tuition, my books, even a stipend to cover childcare would be covered in full. But he did not stop there. He personally contacted the grocery chain's regional office, not to threaten them, but to ask a simple question. What kind of company punishes an employee for saving a customer's life? Word moves fast when a man like Julian Ashford asks a question like that. Within a week, the store's corporate office issued a public apology, reversed my termination on paper, and, more importantly, rewrote their emergency response policy so that no employee would ever again be fired for choosing a human life over a cash register. I did not go back to that job. I did not want to. But I know that somewhere, some other tired cashier will one day catch a stranger before they hit the floor, and they will not have to choose between their conscience and their paycheck. Today, I am in my 2nd year of nursing school. My daughter got her gym shoes. My son tells everyone at school that his mom saved a billionaire's grandmother, which is not quite right, but I let him have it. I still think about that Tuesday afternoon sometimes, the weight of her hand in mine, the sound of the ambulance doors closing. I did not do it for reward. I did not even do it for recognition. I did it because somewhere along the way, someone taught me that a person's worth is not measured by their bank account, and that on the floor of a grocery store, an elderly woman fighting for her next breath was not a stranger to me at all. She was just someone's mother, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, even if I knew exactly how much it would cost me.